What is up, Guardians? It's Macabre, and we're back with yet another Destiny 2 video. Now, this is the Lazy Player Prep Guide to Season 16 for all those Guardians that perhaps have recently come back to play Destiny 2 in the few weeks before Witch Queen launches. There's a lot of changes coming with Witch Queen, so I figured I'd better make a video explaining some of them and telling you exactly how you should prepare and how to maybe go about it in a way that you won't get burnt out right before Witch Queen drops. So, like the title says, this is the Lazy Player Prep Guide for Season 16. Now, before we jump into the content, if you could go down below and sub or like, that would be greatly appreciated. It takes you a second to do and it helps me out a lot. Thank you. Alright, so let's jump into one of the big things that a lot of people don't know have changed, or perhaps know have changed and just aren't necessarily feeling it. A lot of weapons are being rotated out of loot pools, both in Trials, the Nightfall, Iron Banner, and the World Loot Pool. Or wait, did I already say that? It doesn't matter. All of these weapons, or not all of these weapons, a majority of these weapons are being switched out or taken out completely, and we won't have access to them in the same way we do now, so you might as well try and get your hands on them currently, so that way you don't have to worry about them later on. For the Nightfall weapons, unfortunately, some of these are already gone. But if you have the urge to go do Grandmasters, there's still a few that I believe are going to be rotating out in the next couple weeks here that you can farm for. Don't quote me on that. As for the Trials weapons, play any weekend, earn a couple engrams, and then for the Iron Banner weapons, the last weekend before Witch Queen is Iron Banner, so go ahead and do that. As for the World Loot Pool weapons, all of these are accessible via Banshee by turning in gunsmith materials. Now, I know this sounds boring and something that a lot of people don't want to actively do. However, trust me, it's worth your time. Set aside a couple hours, you hoarders, and go turn in those gunsmith materials, as they are going away in Witch Queen and will not be worth anything. So you might as well try and get some god rolls out of it now. Moving beyond weapons, and, well, slightly moving beyond weapons, try and finish up any seasonal activities that you haven't already completed. The only one we're currently waiting on, and maybe this has dropped today as this video was recorded beforehand, but perhaps finish those seasonal activities and do your best to, maybe finish those triumphs that you said, I'm gonna finish this 3 months ago. I understand that a lot of people don't have the time to sit down and do this every week, nor do they have the brain power to actively play this game every day. Completely understand. But if you set aside these goals, or you put these goals down on a piece of paper or whatever at the beginning of a season, or maybe a couple seasons ago for that matter, try and knock them out now, because starting with Witch Queen, we'll have a whole new year of content, and none of these previous seasons will be accessible. So maybe try and do them. It's up to you. Two things that I would argue stand out with seasonal content would be the weapons involved in each season's content, as we're not 100% sure where these are going yet, and the exotics that come with them. Just to name 3 exotics that I highly recommend you get your hands on if you don't already have them, would be Hawkmoon, Deadman's Tail, and Aegir's Scepter. All 3 exotics came with each in a season, and are very, very good, whether it is in Crucible or PvE, or perhaps both. So try and go get a good roll, as both Deadman's Tail and Hawkmoon are random rolls, but any roll will suffice if you don't have the time to grind. Moving past seasonal activities, and moving past all the weapons that you need to be grinding for if you don't already have them because they're going away, a couple things that you may want to look towards doing for this new season and new DLC would be hoarding some bounties. Now, if you truly are coming back and there's only 2 weeks left before Witch Queen drops, that you're watching this video at the time it's been released, well, hoarding bounties can seem like a daunting task, and believe me, it can be. But one thing that you really should do if you play this game in the slightest is hoard any weekly bounties that you possibly can. I know most of the vendors at the tower now do not have said weekly bounties, but if you can get around to perhaps going to the Cosmodrome and grabbing those 2, or maybe even just getting 3 of getting 3 of the weekly bounties from Varix over on Europa, it's recommended, as that XP will boost not only your level, but any rewards that would be in the season's pass for the next season. Additionally, with Iron Banner coming out the week before Witch Queen, why not save those banner bounties that you're going to be doing anyways? Because what do you do when Iron Banner comes out? You play Iron Banner. I know, it sucks. Moving beyond hoarding bounties, and like I said, it is a very daunting task, but with 2 weeks left, you have plenty of time to do so maybe try and get a couple in your inventory. But moving beyond all of that, one thing that everyone should be doing, no matter how lazy you are or aren't, is deleting weapons from your vaults, and armor perhaps. A lot of people have vaults that are very, very full, and going into Witch Queen, we have already been confirmed to have 42 new legendary weapons, 52 new legendary weapons, something like that, added to the game. That's insane, and if you're talking possibly 2 roles for each, a Crucible and a PvE role, your vault's gonna fill up really quickly, and if you don't have the space for that, then you're gonna have to delete other stuff in Witch Queen, and that just wastes your time. Do it now, so that way you can enjoy the new content, and you can just put stuff in your vault willy-nilly, and it doesn't matter. Now, a couple other things that I highly recommend, and honestly, it depends on how you're feeling as a player and how your teammates are feeling. If you're a team that does a lot of raiding, or perhaps you used to be part of a team that does a lot of raiding, I recommend that you hop back on and do some raids with them. Even if you're just saving a couple spoils of conquest, it's worth your time, because we are getting a new raid with Witch Queen, and we're assuming you'll be able to use them. At the very least, if you can't, perhaps they'll be usable in some form or another of weapon crafting, which is also coming in the Witch Queen. Now, there isn't too much left, but one other thing that you may want to get done is save as many materials as you can. Don't waste those upgrade modules, don't waste any of your glimmer, any of your natural resources, planetary resources, none of that should be wasted in this current time. A lot of the reason for this is because we're all getting a bump in power to 1350 as soon as Witch Queen drops. That will be the new lowest you can go. So keep this in mind. If you're trying to grind those pinnacles, that's great and all. Don't waste your materials by infusing those unless you actively need them for GMs or perhaps a Master Volley. Really try and save as many resources as possible, perhaps going to the extreme of putting some in your Postmaster, putting some in the vault if possible. But it's completely up to you, and honestly it's going to depend on how much you're grinding. Now, there isn't anything else that I have to say. A lot of it is on the extreme side of things. I myself am prepping like crazy for Witch Queen, and I encourage anyone who is able to do just as much as I am. However, I know a lot of people aren't able to, nor do they have the willpower to sit and play this game as much as I do. Completely understandable, so take the time and do as much as you are able, or as much as you feel like you can do without burning yourself out before Witch Queen. We know it's going to be a good expansion with plenty of new stuff to find and enjoy throughout it, so let's try and make sure we're not burnt out at the start of it. I got nothing else to say. I hope you guys enjoyed and found something meaningful in this. With that, I'll catch you guys in the next video or perhaps live stream over on Twitch. And get back to grinding, you crazy guardians.